Chicky Maine, aka Dabu.com, with your Dabu.com video surf forecast update. This surf forecast update brought to you by Salt Life Food Shack with 2 locations, Jacksonville Beach and Coral Springs. Coming soon, Stewart and St. Augustine. Get shacked at the Shack, Salt Life Food Shack. Start you off with a look out here towards the central Atlantic and a tropical wave we are monitoring just east of the islands. This tropical wave is going to continue to push off towards the west, towards Central America. There's no tropical development expected with this tropical wave, and as you can see, there's limited convection just firing up just to the northeast of the Virgin Islands, but it's the northern extension of the tropical waves that we always monitor for a chance of increasing surf along the southeast U.S. coast, and this is going to be pushing off towards the west, and the wave energy behind this wave could produce a little southeast groundswell coming up in the forecast. Here's what it looks like in the surface wind wave forecast, and as you can see, the tropical wave is located right in here just to the east of Puerto Rico, and it's that northern extension that we like to monitor. As you can see, seas are going to be increasing north of Puerto Rico into the 6 to 7 foot range, and back behind it, east of the islands, we have a wide swath of 6 to 7 foot seas, primarily in a easterly swell. Now, this is the wind wave surface forecast going into Tuesday, and you can see the tropical wave now, the northern extension, moving through Hispaniola here. It's a little bit further to the south than what we like to see. We like to see the northern extension just a little bit more to the north, but as you can see, seas are going to be building here just east of the central Bahamas, 4 to 5 feet and 5 to 6 feet. Looking at the latest swell forecast, and it does appear that a small 10-second southeast groundswell will develop in the next 48 hours or so. This looks like it's going to push into central Florida on up into northeast Florida. Nothing big, but at the right times and tides, more than likely incoming to the high tide. Could be a fun little longboard wave setting up with the southwest wind flow and about the knee to waist high range. Here's the swell forecast going into Wednesday, and as you can see, the Tropical Atlantic Forecast branch showing a small southeast groundswell in about the 10-second range showing up from central Florida up in here towards northeast Florida. Again, probably about knee to waist high. You'll probably have to catch it at the right times and the right tide, right location. But additionally, that southwest wind flow that's setting up should provide a bump for the South Carolina, North Carolina, southeast facing beaches. Moving you out now to the West African coast, and all of the buzz has been about this tropical wave that is now exiting and moving out into the Atlantic. As you can see, the center of circulation associated with the tropical wave is just over Dakar in this image and back over towards Senegal. Now, this is going to continue to move off to the west. What you're seeing in this image with the yellow and orange is the Saharan air layer, are commonly referred to as SAL. Now, this is a combination of the hot, dry air coming off the Saharan desert and also the dust associated with it. And this has pretty much been in place for the entire hurricane season thus far, and what it does is it suppresses convective activity as these tropical waves will move off Africa. Now, we're seeing some indications that this may lighten up a bit as we progress into August, but as you can see, as close as this tropical wave is, with it moving off towards the west, this dry air is likely going to rob this tropical wave of its moisture content. Now, it's not this tropical wave that we are focusing on here at Dabu.com. It's the one that's behind it, and we'll show you that here in just a second. But this is a little bit later than that image that we just showed you, and you can see now this is where this is now entering the Atlantic here, just east of the Cape Verde Islands. The convection that we have blowing up down in here is part of the intertropical convergence zone. Now, again, it's this second wave in here that is moving off towards the west that we're going to be focusing in on. There's a possibility of whatever may be left of this when this moves off could combine together and form Tropical Storm Dorian in about 4 or 5 days. There's a lot of obstacles in the way, and it's not looking likely at the moment, but that could change. So this is what we're going to be watching over the next 3 to 4 days. Okay, now keep this in mind, guys. We're talking about a week out, so a lot can change. Again, there's lots of obstacles, but just trying to give you as much information as we possibly can. But let's do a little forward thinking. Let's say that we get this system developed in here. What's the future track from here, and what's the surf forecast? All right, well, as you can see, we'll go to the end of the model run here, and let's go look at the states here, central United States. We've got another area of low pressure that's going to be cutting across, or at least what's forecast in this model run to be cutting across the central U.S. with high pressure behind it. So we're stuck in this southwest flow for what looks to be at least a week. And as we progress through here, you'll see that low pressure moving off towards the east, okay, and high pressure behind it. We're still caught in this southwest flow, but by the time that any swell generated, which this is now starting to get into the window, if in fact this does develop, we still have a southwest flow. I would say from this position, any southeast swell coming from this would likely be arrive a little bit sooner based on that strong high pressure that we showed you a few minutes ago. So we basically got an easterly flow in here based on that high pressure combined with southwest winds. But what scares me is a couple of things as far as in the surf forecast. With this high pressure starting to shift off, this looks like it's a fairly decent size. We could see winds switch out of the northeast into Florida behind this front. So that's what scares me there. Where's the future track going to take it? That's up in the air too, because if this starts to take a little bit northerly track, it could ride that high pressure ridge and come off this way, or high pressure could slide this way, keeping it suppressed, and this could just continue to march off towards the west-northwest and maybe get into the Gulf of Mexico, or we could see something landfalling on the state of Florida. So that's it for now, guys. Stay tuned to the forecast.